Give him a hand. Elger Jonker.
So, does it work? It sort of does. Well, all right. Good morning. My lesson learned for this event is going to sleep at 4 in the morning with a lot of alcohol. It gives a lot of pain in the early morning. I'm going to talk about some things I've seen during my short career as a security tester. Some fails, some things that went horribly wrong, sometimes due to my expertise, sometimes due to the non-expertise of others. And if there's some time left, I'm going to show the results of the responsible disclosure policy of hackerhotel.nl. And it's still on, and you can still earn bitterballen. So I'll get into that later. So who am I? I'm Elger Stitch. Believe it or not, this is me. And there's some projects that I'm involved in. Also Hacker Hotel, and one that I want to highlight, and that's the Awesome Space. It's the newest hackerspace that does not call itself a hackerspace. So visit it. It's in Utrecht. So if you're near Utrecht and you are near Utrecht now, go there and have a great time. Well, there's a thing I noticed during my travels, that there are two types of hackers in general. There are hackers that are and there are hackers that do this for work, and that's just security testing. This is fairly boring if you're not doing research or not doing well, the cool stuff. Then it's just routine script kiddie tools and checking if the privileges are okay and checking if the configurations are okay of servers. That's pretty boring. The fun stuff is what we're doing here, and that's the live thing, like engineering, reverse engineering, writing software, hardware, getting to know how things work. And I'm going to talk about the funnier stuff of the work side. It was a very fun night last night. We made this picture. Also, worst slide ever. This is the cyber criminal. This is the intelligence agency hacker. So, something general about security in products and applications and whatever is this bar that I sometimes use. Just used again. If you're doing security, then what you want to achieve is somewhere a level in a company that is somewhere here. That you fend off the script kiddies and the masses and everything else. And that's a lot of work. It's an insane amount of work to get that right. Yeah, that's something. That's fun, and that sometimes delivers great fun. So I'm going to talk about two things. First, some funny things I've seen, and then the responsible disclosure. Who of you has ever seen this dialogue in a browser before? Yeah, everyone. Of course, everyone has seen this. Well, I thought I've seen this before, but there's something funny about this dialogue. This looks like a basic authentication dialogue. During one of the pen tests I did for a company, I managed to get all the usernames of the company via SQL injection. Just use the tool demol and get in a few seconds all the usernames of a company. It's like click, you got it. And then you can try to find some place where you can do brute force authentication. So every username with a set of passwords, and iterate over that, and maybe you get lucky and you find a username and password combination that works. So I found the list of usernames, and I found this entry point somewhere. Well, not on this address, but you get the point. And I thought to myself, well, let's try them out. It's basic authentication, so it's extremely fast, and just go. So I used the standard tool, Hydra. If you don't know it, it's the best brute force tool available. It's extremely fast. It's multi-threading, resume supported, and every you can authenticate to 10, 15 types of services. So it's pretty great. So I used Hydra with hundreds and hundreds of usernames and passwords. And I thought, well, this is going to take 2 hours. So I went into the city, have a nice cup of tea, and spent my day, fairly relaxed. And then the company called. Because apparently this happened. This is the IT department at the company. Of course, this is not the IT department. What happened is that this window was not basic authentication. It was Windows authentication. What they did was connect their domain to the internet. And you know what happens if you try to log in for an account several times, it gets locked. So I had about 500 people that were not able to do their job. It's like, oops. Sorry. They didn't mind though. They thought it was fun, and they thought it was all right. And of course I have this. I'm allowed to do this. A waiver, yeah. A waiver. So they're fine with this, and they're also fine with the fact that you can still do this, and they're fine with the fact that it takes not. If you are a little bit more efficient, it takes 5 minutes to have the entire company stopping with working. To lock everything in the entire company takes about 5 minutes for all accounts, 5 attempts, they log out. And they're fine with it that you can still do it today. Nobody does this. So, well, that's something I've learned from this very nice authentication method. So I will never do this in the same way again. Another fine feature are cross-site request forgery attempts. You read in the newspapers a lot of things about SQL injection and cross-site scripting and stuff and such. This is a little bit different, and who knows what this is? Okay, a happy few know what this is. So I'll explain what's going on here. It is pretty obvious what is going on here. What you see here is a post request, a form that you send to some website. For example, this form has a username and 2 passwords, aka you make a new account somewhere. What happens if you're logged into a website where you can create accounts? You use such a form, and you click OK, and you've got a new account. But if you visit any website on the internet, while you are logged into this system where you can create new accounts, this form will be posted automatically if you visit this page. So document forms 0, submit. So this form is submitted while you are authenticated, so a new account is created. It's very, very basic. And there are so many applications that are not protected against this kind of attack. And I will show you how it looks like. It's more like figure out some things here. You can see it happening. Yeah, I know. So I'll just say, hey, have you looked at this beautiful movie over here? Just click on this link, or visit something on the internet, and then people do this. Of course they do this. because something goes viral. And if you look at the source of this page, how does that work? Let's say that's pretty large. So you've got your quality rig actually, and you've got your CSRF HTML. This is exactly what is on this slide. You see here, this is the source. So that's what's happening. And if you have a proxy, you can see that, of course, can also be larger. This goes to apple.com/lol/operation. And if you visit this beautiful page, and supposedly I'm the admin of apple.com, and it has poor security, which I don't think they have. Then you can go to the site, and you see that apple.com operation is called. So and this form is submitted, and everything helps. And there are so many applications that are vulnerable to this kind of attack, but nobody wants to believe or understand that this actually is happening. So I've made about 10 or 15 different showcases that this actually happens and that this actually is a problem. One of the showcases was for disaster areas, that you can click on a button and you can create a disaster area, and all emergency services in the surrounding neighborhoods will all go bananas. They will all go to a certain area and they think there's another Moerdijk or great fire or great disaster. And that's what I just coded a form in like 2 minutes and said to some guy, hey, look here. And there you go. We got another disaster, free of charge. Thank you very much. 100 SMS messages were sent and everything. Of course, this was a test environment, but this is how it works. So this is a really easy way to let other people do things in systems they don't notice that they're doing. How to fend off this kind of attack? Well, it's very simple. Just use a random token every time you submit a form. I don't know what this token is, so that's called a CSRF token, or cross-site request forgery protection token, whatever. Or use a CAPTCHA or a second factor or something else. Just do anything, but don't do it like this. So that's something that's I've had a lot of success with this one. More even than SQL injection, more than XSS, more than anything else. This is the easiest way in most systems, especially developed by noobs, that you can have a lot of fun with. Another one from a guy we all know. I think he talked about this yesterday. This card, I love this card. It's one of my favorite testing thingies. When I go to a customer or a client, I say, this is my ID. Of course, it has my own name on it. I'm not doing any identity theft, of course. That's wrong. So what I do, and you should certainly not do this just for the fun of it, because it might get you in some trouble. In most cases, I had a waiver that I could do this. In some cases, I did not. But here's how I fixed that problem. Well, first you go to some organization, critical infrastructure, you can do collocations, you can do voting for the Dutch ministries, whatever. You can go to a car dealership, or you can go to a phone company. All real cases. The first three are my real cases. The other ones, somebody bought a car with it. He's in this room. Then you show the card. Then you enter, buy, and vote. And this is what you should do afterwards. Directly after you've entered the building, you've done something that's illegal. So immediately tell, okay, I've done this. This is a problem. And if the security is the security people are a little bit trained, and most of them are, they're like, well, okay, thank you for this. We will take care of it, and show me your ID. So you explain everything. You explain what you did and why, and why this is relevant, and what you want to test. And they will always think about sending you to the cops or something, but most of the time you can get away with it pretty easily. And do show your real ID. Make sure it is valid. Pro tip. And if they don't ask for your real ID, that's another problem. And that sometimes happens. I voted this year. I used my Lichtbildausweis. And I showed it like this. And then, Elger, Jonker. Okay, it's fine. You can vote now. No, thank you, sir. So I voted, picture. And then I went to the desk and said, hey, people, this is not very okay. This is not okay. And he said, well, that's special. And nothing. What? So I packed my ID and it's like, okay, this is me, and this is why I tested it, and you should check the IDs. And I know that after 1 million IDs on one day, you will make mistakes, but you shouldn't. So. And I've had people fired over this. That's serious. So you know what you're doing. You can get people fired doing this, because their only job is to check your ID, and if they don't do it, they might get fired. And otherwise get conversations with the security staff about maybe firing them. So that's pretty serious. Something else. What's always fun in applications and web applications is session management. I can talk hours on end on this. Well, there's not much to talk about, but I can talk exactly 1 hour on this. And if you think you've done all things right, so you have a second factor if you log in, you have strong passwords, you have strong random usernames, you deter brute force attacks, all these things. That's what you do. That's what you should do. Sometimes, then if you have the session token, I was testing a system with a colleague, and they had all these things, and it was a nightmare to log in. It was just not easy, and he locked his own account. So I said, well, yeah, then you can just use my session ID. So I sent him an email, copied my session ID in it, like my cookies and everything, and he just entered the cookies in his browser, and he's good to go. So that's very easy. How you can do this? Well, pretty easy. Just use a plugin like edit this cookie in Chrome or cookie editor in Firefox, and just copy these cookie values, send it to another PC, send it to another person, and there you go. So this is obviously a problem. But the many times that I find this, well, it's about 50% chance that this is wrong in the system. A few more. WordPress, my favorite blogging tool. I know you've all heard of it. Hacker Hotel is also running WordPress. And we've asked the hacker community to take a look at it and to say if we are doing things right or wrong. And well, the results in a few minutes. So there was a WordPress site somewhere on the internet that had the following issues. It has open directory listings. Well, that's not a problem. But normally you will not find anything. There's one case in about 3-4 years that directory listings were actually useful, because they saved me $60 on buying the template this site was using. The template was just there. But I downloaded it, checked the source code for any problems with file management, for uploads and downloads. So, uploads and downloads, always a problem. So hard to make these things right. So I found this getfile.php. It's still not fixed. And I just do the blah 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 blah, wp config, and there you go. Your database name, your username was root, and the password was easy. And there I stopped. Look, I stopped. The thing is, I know then it's crap. I don't need to go any further to know it's crap and nobody gains anything. It even gets riskier for me to explain that I've audited their website without their consent. So what I did was send an email to the National Cybersecurity Center or something, and then told that it was an American company. So it was an American company, and I'm a little bit afraid that I cannot go to the Americas if I just audit any of their websites and then tell that their things are wrong. Maybe they will sue me or whatever. So this website is a little bit special because it hands out certificates that you are a good hacker. So I thought all this crap WordPress installation was part of getting a certificate. No, it was not. It was not. It was not. So I did the responsible disclosure, and they solved it actually with placing a web application firewall. They did not solve it by editing one line in the getFile.php. No, they bought a device of about 10,000 euros, plugged it into the network, and there they go. They solved the problem. After a few weeks after this, they got hacked seriously, and then they stopped using WordPress altogether. So if you do WordPress, at least have some monkeys that can edit some PHP or something. Second one, some of these WordPress themes come with file managers, like EL Finder. This is a really awesome file manager. I love it, especially because it does everything right. You can drag and drop, and you can copy, paste, merge, everything. It's like great. So they embedded the file manager in their product. And the default permission is that you can upload things into the web root. So the thing I found was it was some kind of broken JavaScript thingy. So what I did, I downloaded EL Finder, started Chrome, disabled all the security things, so I can just communicate with every website on the internet without cross-origin policy bullshit. No, you can just do whatever you want, like in the old days. And then you can use the back end of the EL Finder on the server, and the front end is on your computer, and you can just upload a web shell. I'll show a picture in a few seconds. And then you can browse the disk, and then you see a password file on the desktop, and then it's okay. Then they were completely owned. It's so simple. So what a web shell looks like, if you don't know, this is like a PHP script that does directory listings, that does, you can scan the network, you can do database queries, you can do whatever kinds of neat things with it in, I don't know, 20 kilobytes of code. You just upload it and you get like all the cool features that you wanted to have. The funny fact of the web shell I used, it calls home, so it knows exactly what websites are broken. I deleted that code. It's not this shell, by the way, or at least I did not use it. I used another one, couldn't find it. And the last one, there was a great plugin for social media authentication. It was called Nextend Facebook Connect, and we used it in the Hacker Hotel website and all the other awesome retro stuff, and it's all the same server, so one installation. And the problem was that they had an XSS, and normally, okay, XSS, fine, but this was on the WordPress login page on a few 100,000 sites, so that might be a problem. So I sent an email, you might have a problem. The response was, well, we haven't heard of any website that was hacked because of our plugin, so I think you should not worry about it. Okay. So I started off with capitals, like, there is a problem, and then I deleted the mail and just took my time to explain carefully, and then it was fixed in 2 days. So, hooray. And you can see it in the changelog. It's a fine plugin, by the way. It doesn't work on multi-site. So, WordPress is something you can, if you start hacking, like want to check security or do security auditing stuff, WordPress is like heaven on earth for finding all kinds of easy to use exploits. Like file management and whatever crappy code made by a 15-year-old that has his own PHP project. So I also made these mistakes way back. Well, final one. There was this hacking challenge from a municipality in the Netherlands, organized by Brenno. And I was there very early, and I was bored to tears, because it's a municipality and you get bored there. And you walk in there and you see this nice information table. Like, oh, that's beautiful. And you can touch. Okay. But there was also a button like admin. Interesting. Click admin. I had to enter a password using a crappy interface with a delay of 1 second per keystroke. So I plugged in a USB keyboard. That makes it really easy. And then the password appeared to be admin. Lame. So, and it had network connection, so I downloaded Nmap, so starting to scan the entire network. What they did correctly here is that all these crap devices are on their own network. So you could not just easily find any of the municipality serious data storage or something. So that's pretty nice, but still they now have a troll face on every boot when they do this device. So when they run this device. Let's go into responsible disclosure, RD. I've mentioned it a few times. Responsible disclosure is that if you find something, you try to help the vendor fix the problem. And I know a lot of people here have experience with exactly that. Hacker Hotel has such a policy. By means of, we thought it was fun to just play along with the people that make up this stuff and copy paste the policy made by, I think, Floor on our website. It was like copy paste. We only changed one thing, and that's the bounty or the reward for if you find a vulnerability in this website or in the server configuration or anything else. And that is that you can get bitterballen. This challenge is still on. So, as long as this Hacker Hotel is going on, you can still get your bitterballen through means of hacking. So you used it yesterday evening? Oh, very good. We have done this for a few months, and the results are we got about 7 responsible disclosures. But the quality of these are, well, pretty lame. There's nothing like awesome hacking and things I've learned and that are new. No, it's just crappy headers. It is some brute forcing, but it is not like Matrix style, oh, they owned everything we have stuff. And I hoped that we could have this, everything we have was owned. And we now serve Bitcoin miners or something like that. Well, that did not happen, unfortunately, so please try. First off, we found this XSS. I found this during a routine check, because before we wanted to go live with responsible disclosure, I wanted to make sure that we did not receive all the standard crap, which we still did. And then we got a message that some headers were missing, like click-checking headers were missing. This header means that you cannot embed the website in an iframe. Okay, this means this header means that you can only reach the website through HTTPS or secure sockets layer. Okay, click, easy. This means that you have to disable some script in your WordPress installation that cannot be disabled by default, so you have to use a plugin, and that plugin did not appear to work, so you installed another plugin that did work, and then you updated WordPress and your the file was back. So it's extremely frustrating to mitigate this thing. Of course it is possible, and yeah, sure, but annoying. Then another pretty standard vulnerability was this cross-site scripting vulnerability that was, I think, that is still in jQuery. If you enter this, then you can get this. You get this nice pop-up box with your document.cookie, which is empty. But you can do all kinds of nice things. If you know the Beef XSS exploitation kit, you can just enter it, and you have a nice admin console to troll people on the Hacker Hotel site. It's still on, but I can disclose it now because nobody will buy their tickets anymore via the website at this moment. So you can play with this, do this. I'm sorry? Next year, but next year we will have this fixed. Of course. Yeah. But this is a textbook's XSS. If you look jQuery XSS, you see this one. And apparently we were missing DNS record, sender policy framework, aka we state that this IP or this domain name is allowed to send email or something. Well, we didn't fix it at all because Dimitri sends everything through Gmail, so who cares? And well, it's a small crowd. We thought, well, we're not going to fix this. So all in all, this is not a very awesome list. Do you think? I think it's pretty boring. So I would like to encourage you to try out some things. If you have doubts on should I do this or should I not do this, you can always talk to me. We won't sue, at least, if you do responsible disclosure, if you are nice and play nice. Right, so what we did change are a couple of headers. These are the headers. We added the strict transport security, the frame options, some other things we liked, and well, we changed a sell certificate to A+. Well, that's all pretty boring. So that's that. So I was pretty fast in 38 minutes. My message is hack responsibly, have a lot of fun, and if there are any questions or you want to know anything more about these things, well, just now take the time to do so. Go on. No questions? Okay. Okay.
Dat je daarna dat reguleert, dat je ze eerst moet maken.
You have to make the mistakes before you understand how to do it right.
Yes.
Absolutely. When I started web developing, I made about every mistake possible. For example, you can also download any file on the web server. You can also, well, do anything wrong. But what it's for some extent this is true. The other side of it, like CSRF, you have to look it up. You have to at least look at the OWASP top 10 or something like that. You cannot just. You have to be really smart about how the internet works before you figure out that this can be a problem. That's why it's still a problem in all these applications today. So if you just take 5 minutes to Google on security, you will learn, and if you're a noob, then you will learn a lot of things. So it's a combination of both, and I made a lot of mistakes, and it was fun because they stick better than just reading a book for me. So, any other questions? Yeah, in the back.
I only want to make just a note that it's not responsible if you upload a web shell. I saw in one of the pictures of you. Yeah, if you find a vulnerability, it's just enough to report that. For example, in a restricted file upload, it's not necessary to create a proof of concept and upload your own web shell.
That's true. At that moment, I was allowed to do this, and I was allowed to go extremely far. So, uploading a web shell, if you can do this, you can also upload a picture of a cat. That's enough to prove your point. So you should upload a picture of your cat or a cat or something. That's basically it. I used the web shell because, well, it has so many features, and I should do any more things on the network and such. But well, it was fun. So I could play around. It's the wafer. So, any more questions?
The question I have, I mean, it's interesting position that are between the security and the guys running sites, etc. And the realization I came to is that security is all sticks. There are no carrots. Have you any idea how we can make doing it right more pleasurable, more rewarding than not being hit by a stick, not being owned on a pen test, not being... Because I think there's, if you look at engineers, they want basically to be appreciated for the work they do. Yeah. And doing security tends to be, you did it wrong again, and still wrong. So, any ideas on that?
And there are some trainings that try to help you make secure websites, and they explain everything, what's okay. But what you should do, maybe still from the wrong angle. Where it is really funny, it's maybe doing some capture the flags. So you have to try to break in somewhere. And if I try to teach people security, I show them all these vulnerabilities, and then they have a virtual machine, and then they can use all these vulnerabilities to get all these flags, like simple things, like file uploads, for example, or reading a file from a certain thing. So you can get gratification of that you found something, even though it's really easy. So a really low level, easy capture the flag, there are hundreds of them, can help make this a more possible and rewarding experience.
One of the things I'm thinking about is splitting the rewards between the pen testers and the team who actually built the site. So the longer they manage to hold back the pen testers, the bigger chunk of the reward they get.
Okay, now we can talk about that in more detail after the presentation. So.
Ruin your business case.
Any other question? One question in the back, and then we have to call it.
I have a question in response to responsible disclosure. But what if you find something in a website that is like really bad? For example, you're leaking social security numbers or something like that. So you go to the company and they say, we don't think this is a problem.
Yeah,
what then?
Then you need to hug them. You need to, in some way, they have to get to understand that this might be a problem, and there are like they can get fines for it. Maybe their image can get serious problems. So these are like blackmails to get it right. They're
to make it a little bit more simple, as soon as personal data of other people is involved, that company is breaking the law, and it changes the scene a little bit. So I wouldn't spend any time. You know, you've told them if they don't want to listen, there are other ways to get their attention. For instance, the data protection office, or go public with it, because they are breaking the law at that point.
And if you don't want to. Contact them yourself because you think it's too risky, or that you get a lot of legal hassle that you don't want all the legal hassle. You don't want to show up in courts and everything else. So you can go to a journalist, maybe like Brenno, and say, well, this is a problem, and he can protect you from all this nonsense for the bigger part. So that saves a lot of time for you, at least. So, all right. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you around at the conference.